What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer, and welcome to episode 55 of SLC Puck. We call that a double nickel where I'm from. Where I'm from is Centerville. I have no idea if anybody else calls it that here, but hey, I do, and that's all that counts. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Again, having a lot of fun doing this. I really appreciate all the love, all the support, all the joy, all the happiness that we're creating here at SLC Puck. You want to be part of the community, a good way to do it is to follow me on social media. I got the SLC Puck handle on everything. I've got it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, for crying out loud. So go check it out. If you want to let people know that you listen to SLC Puck and therefore are a very smart, informed, and creative hockey fan, what you can do is get some SLC Puck merch, and I've got it for you at slcpuck.shop. And look at all this light outerwear we've got here. I love the term light outerwear. I don't know what it is. I just find those two words together really funny. I've got a lot of great light outerwear options here for you. Got hoodies, sweatshirts, beanies, t-shirts, hats, much like the one I'm wearing right now, pieces of flair. And what's cool about slcpuck.shop is all this stuff is priced pretty much at cost for me. So I don't really make a lot of money on this, unfortunately, but you do have the option of making a donation to the show if you'd like. And believe me, those donations go to a good place. They go to a good home, which is my bank account, where I can buy all sorts of tomfoolery. We're going to have a lot of costumes coming up in December, much like we did in October. So I'm going to need to replenish the costume fund. So go ahead and check out some stuff at slcpuck.shop if you'd like. And again, liking, commenting, subscribing, that's also a great way to support the show. Fun to be with you guys. I was watching the game on Tuesday, the loss to the Winnipeg Jets. And if you guys listen to the show, you follow me, you know that I do also enjoy doing a little bit of a post-game show afterwards. But, you know, I got a little distracted. I was doing sort of a double screen situation, the game on one screen, and then just some news stories on the other screen on Tuesday night. And you know what? The news stories kind of captured my attention. So no live stream that night, but, you know, we'll get back to that. I can see we have games on Thursday and Saturday. The road trip continues. I said in a previous episode, the Utah Hockey Club was going to embark on a very scary 4-game road trip. They're in the middle of it right now. They picked up an overtime loss to the Vegas Golden Knights the other night, and then lost 3-0 to the Winnipeg Jets. So they're halfway through it. They got 1 point in the standings, which is better than none, I guess. But I think games against games on Thursday against the Blues and on Saturday against the Predators are winnable games. So we'll see how those go. And we'll be here to break it down for you, SLC Puck live edition. But getting to Tuesday's game, before we got distracted by the news, it was kind of an interesting game to watch. You know, obviously setting the stage, Winnipeg right now is the best team in the NHL. So just looking at the standings right now, through 13 games, the Jets are an impressive 12-1. But it's like, you know, one loss. I mean, what's wrong with you guys? Can't be 13-0, you know? Are we really supposed to be that impressed with a 12-1 record, you know? I mean, granted, Utah's record is not that. It's 5-5-3. But, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Get to 13-0 and I'll be impressed. You know, 12-1, not that impressive. But again, I'm being facetious and joking, obviously. The Jets are quite good. They've got a 6-1 home record and a perfect 6-0 record away from their barn. They're a plus 32 in goal differential, which is considerably higher than the rest of the NHL. They're a very good team. So this was something that was labeled as like a measuring stick contest. You know, if you want to know how you measure up, you measure yourself against the tippy-top team in the NHL. And that was the case on Tuesday. But for a large part of it, the Utah Hockey Club kind of hung in there. They played pretty well. I believe it was scoreless through the first period, and then second period, Dylan Guenther gets a hooking penalty, gives the best power play in the NHL an opportunity to go on the man advantage. They score, and then they score another one, I believe in the second, and then an empty netter to make it 3-0. But again, pretty solid I guess, performance from the Utah Hockey Club. A lot of good things to take away still. And what I am proud of, and I am taking credit for this as the person who put this into the world and sort of lit a fire under the feet of some of our best players. Clayton Keller and Mikhail Sergachev got some shots on goal in the game, which they did not in regulation against the Vegas Golden Knights. And I said that it was a big issue. It was sort of the main thesis of my episode on Sunday. I was like, listen, you guys are the two best players on the team. You got to get shots on net. Getting 0 shots on net in regulation. And yes, Keller had 1 shot in overtime. Little unacceptable, I thought. So to their credit, they listened to the show. I know they do. Keller, Sergey, you're welcome. I'm glad I could do that for you. I'm glad I could inspire you to be the players that I know you're capable of being. Keller had 3 shots in the game. Sergachev had 2. Obviously, none of them went in, but still good to see them, adding some aggressiveness to the game. And again, aggressiveness is kind of an interesting word, though, because while there was improvement on that end, I think there's still something really struggling with this Utah Hockey Club, especially on the offensive side. And, watching the game and before flipping it off to focus on, the news, I was listening to head coach Andre Turney talk to the media, and I didn't catch the whole thing, but I caught a very important part. And what he said was, I think we're just doing a little too much with the puck right now. And I think anyone who has watched this Utah Hockey Club team at length, including me, I've seen every game, and I know a lot of you guys have as well. I think I think that he hit the nail on the head there. I do feel like the Utah Hockey Club is doing a little bit too much with the puck. And I was talking about this with somebody else who knows hockey pretty well. And I really wonder if this team kind of has an overabundance of very skilled players, if that makes sense. I think they would really benefit from having a more physical, gritty presence on the ice at all times. Something that I like to call a little bit more of a meat and potatoes kind of approach to the game. Just looking at the roster, there is an embarrassment of riches, I guess you could say, in terms of talented, really skilled guys. I'm talking about guys like Logan Cooley. Nick Schmaltz is probably in that group. Matthias Michelli is probably tippy top of that group in terms of just skill and ability to create with the puck. Dylan Gunther as well. Clayton Keller, maybe you could argue, is probably the best player on the team as well. Not a physical guy by any means. And it's interesting just to watch this team play. I've noticed this watching the games, and I think when I watch the game on Thursday, I'm going to focus on this, and I might even keep track of this because I've been trying to find a website that'll keep track of the stat for me, and the only one I could find is charging $20 for zone entry stats. And let me tell you this: the SLC Puck merch is not flying off the shelves enough for me to afford that. So that's a plug right there, guys. Go ahead and buy some more merch. But I'm really want to really take a game to hone in on how they're coming into the offensive zone, because I feel like and you guys feel free to chirp at me in the comments if I'm off base on this or if you agree. It feels like they very rarely are dumping the pucks into the corner and going after, digging it out, and trying to work it through getting the zone time to take that one hard shot from the slot and go for a rebound. Here's an interesting stat that I found very interesting. I just found this on Money Puck, which is quickly becoming my favorite resource for all things hockey and whatnot. The Utah Hockey Club has only had 1 goal off of a rebound this entire season, which I think is kind of interesting. There's 2 other teams that have had 0, and this is very interesting. The Dallas Stars, who are also one of the better teams in the NHL, have had 0 rebound goals this year, but the Detroit Red Wings have also had 0. Utah sits with Nashville at 1, so they're at the bottom little tier of the NHL there in terms of rebound goals, and that to me is an indicator of grittiness, an indicator of getting pucks on net, of being physical, boxing out, winning those net battles. Utah's just not doing that very well, and I think the physicality is sometimes few and far between. I do like the way guys like how Jack McBain plays. I think we can see a little bit more from Nick Bjugstad when he gets going. Obviously, he missed a lot of training camp due to injury, joined the team a few games into the season. So I think he's a 6'5", he's 6'6", he's a big boy. So I think there's some opportunity for him to get involved and sort of mix it up as well. He also has a lot of great skill, but I really think, other than occasionally activating Liam O'Brien, Spicy Tuna, everybody's favorite, who I maintain should open a sushi restaurant at the Gateway, and I'm happy to consult on that if you'd like, Liam. But I think other than having him active every few games to like get in a fight, which is what they pay him $1 million a year to do, good gig, by the way, you don't really see a ton of physical, play from these guys. And I think adopting that meat and potato style is really going to serve this team a lot better. I hope to see it. And I'm just going to keep track for my own sake and my own edification to see what happens in the Blues game. I'll have tally marks here. I'll talk about it on the post-game live. So make sure you tune in there. But so far, it is kind of been a little struggle, a little bit of a rough patch right now. I think we kind of expected November to be a little bit of a tougher stretch for the Utah Hockey Club. Just to get you, reacquainted with how this season has gone. After the Boston game, which was extremely exciting, obviously that had the overtime game-winning goal by Michael Kesselring. The Utah Hockey Club's record stood at 4-2-1. Hey, not bad for an expansion franchise playing in its first year in a new market. Since then, they've been 1-3-2 with the one win coming against the Calgary Flames. So, I think again, adopting this simple style, this KISS method, the keep it simple, stupid, dump the puck in, go get it, dig it out, get it to the middle, get a good shot on net, fight for a rebound. Good teams do that. That's a winning formula. That formula wins a lot of the time, and I would really like to see Utah embrace that more and stop doing too much with the puck. Sometimes we just do too much in life, and the more you keep it simple, the better off you are, right? Well, just to move on to our next story again, we're talking to you. I am recording this on not April. We started this in April. Can you imagine if this is just one continuous episode from the first episode? I think I did that on April 15th. Excuse me, it's November 6th. And, I think something that's on a lot of people's minds is the election and all that, and voting. And voting is something that we are quite familiar with as fans of the Utah Hockey Club, right? Because we were told that we were going to be able to vote on the new name, the permanent name for this team, that the Utah Hockey Club name would just be a temporary solution, right? We're going to just get this team up and going. Here's the polls, guy. Let's Pokemon go to the polls and vote for the team name. And here's the link to a Qualtrics survey. There's 20 options. Half of them suck. We're cutting it down to 6 now. For some reason, Venom's one of them. Outlaws, YETI, Hockey Club, Blizzard, one other stupid one. Outlaws, not the stupid one. The one I like, Outlaws, right? Pick one of those. That'll be the team name. That's the democratic process that we're embracing here in Utah for new hockey lovers. Unfortunately, though, and I have said this from day one, I think my theory has been that this has kind of been a sham election, a rigged election, and that the Utah YETI was always going to be the name of the team. And it does seem like there is maybe a little bit of a curveball involved right now. And before I get into the story, before I really go off on a tirade, or before I start sharing this stuff, let me just say that this is not good journalism. To be clear, I have worked as a journalist. This is not something that could be reported in any journalism outlet. I feel like I have to say this very cautiously now because the show does run on KSL.com for some reason. This is not confirmed in any way. This is speculation. This is hearsay. Do not take this as reporting or, again, as a journalism at all. I have done a little bit of research on this, but not enough for this to be considered confirmation or a report in any way. So again, I feel crazy that I have to say this so many times. This is a disclaimer. I wish I could put it in big red letters here, but I hate editing and I'm not going to do that. This is a disclaimer. This is not a report. This is just something that was said that seemed to get people talking a lot. So, hey, I just thought we'd bring it up here. So this went crazy. Again, so do we have a deal here, guys? Is that enough of a disclaimer? Okay, let's move on. Let's hop in. All right, so this was something that I posted on SLC Puck's Twitter, at SLC Puck. And I added a disclaimer as well from Facebook, so take it with a grain of salt. Went crazy, got retweeted a bunch of times, lots of engagement, lots of comments, over 41,000 views. The screenshot here comes from something that I saw on a Utah Hockey Club fan Facebook page. And again, this is something people can just post. People can post what they're hearing, what the speculation, rumors, just a place to have a conversation, right? I screenshotted it and sort of edited it a little bit because I didn't want to show the person's name, because I didn't want to blow them up or, put them on a spot or credit them as a source. This is just the conversation I saw. The post read, "I have on good authority that the following information is factual, but I cannot reveal my source. Negotiations with the YETI Cooler Company have come to a halt. The name YETI is not a sure thing. At this time, it appears as though Mammoth, Outlaws, or Hockey Club are most likely scenarios." Kind of an interesting little thing there. And it got people talking. I think a lot of people here in my comments, my replies, were excited to see Mammoth is back on the menu, boys. And, Mammoth's not bad. I have always said that I thought Outlaws would be a really good choice. So it seems like that's a possibility, if this is to believed, right? To be believed. But again, this was something that got a lot of people talking here. I think it was even shared on like a Utah Hockey Club subreddit as well. But again, it's just a conversation. It is interesting. And what I did was I decided to do a little bit of follow-up. So I went to the person who made the post. I sent them a friend request. I sent them a message on Facebook Messenger. And I said, "Hey, my name's Austin. I do the SLC Puck podcast. I saw your post. I need to know as much as you can tell me about your source." And this is what the person said. Again, I'm not going to I'm not going to say this person's name. If you see them on this Facebook thing, feel free to ask them, but I'm not going to put their name out on this platform. They said, "Oh, wow, what have I done? My source is secondhand." So it's a little bit of hearsay. "A connection of mine is close friends with a high-level marketing official with the team." Sorry, reading here. "I really know nothing more than what I said on Facebook. I'm nothing special, but I did get a message from someone else earlier with a similar source that confirmed what I said online." So confirmation of speculation of speculation of speculation, right? Here's part of his message. This is secondhand off of a secondhand. It's like, again, take this with a huge grain of salt. "I have a buddy who has a relative." Okay, this is becoming less credible the more I read about this, but just hang with me. It was kind of an interesting conversation. "Who has a relative who works for the team when they were in Arizona." So, hey, take that for the grain of salt that we're taking with this has gotten to imagine how big this grain of salt must be now to really take this at more than face value. "Supposedly YETI wants like $5 million a year to keep the name, but Smith isn't stupid, Ryan Smith, and they can't seem to agree to any kind of a sponsorship type deal. There's also a hard date in which it can't be worked out, then they move on." I was like, you know what? Maybe, right? Maybe that's possible. I think there are some potential issues. I recently learned that the YETI Cooler Company, the company that makes those tumblers that everybody seems to know and love, the giant coolers as well. Apparently they can like keep your drinks like still kind of cold, even in the case of like a volcano, or if your tumbler were to fall into a volcano, your drink would still be kind of cold. Yeah. On the other end. But it's interesting. This company is kind of taking a dive into the sports scene a little bit. I recently learned that they are the primary jersey sponsor for the Austin's MLS team, Austin FC. And it says in big, gigantic letters on the front of their jersey. And someone took a picture of it and sent it to me. I just don't happen to have it ready for you guys. But it's right there on the front of their jerseys. It says YETI. And so I'm not a trademark lawyer. It does seem like there could be some potential conflicts there. And I do think that, yes, sometimes people talk about what happens at work and all that kind of stuff, and they do share it with friends and family. So it's entirely possible that this could be true, in which case it would be kind of interesting to see how this shakes out. And again, I have been saying for months now that Utah YETI is the name. At certain points in the show, I've even just referred to the team straight up as the Utah YETI. If this goes AWOL, if this goes like off the rails, I'm not apologizing for one. I'm refusing to apologize because I think my theory was sound. And these messages sort of support the fact that I was on the right track. But it's going to be very interesting to watch and see how it pivots. Again, we know that the team's colors right now are this blue, black, and white. Those seem to play very well with what would be the Yeti name and some Yeti imagery. My theory was if they were going to go with Outlaws, they would have chosen like a more like orangey, kind of reddish, kind of Wild Western kind of look. So I don't know how they'll be able to pivot away from that. But we've heard them say so many times that they, like, even the players and people in the front office, they think the name, they either know or they're just guessing. And my guess is a lot of them do know, and some of them are just guessing, that the team name is going to be Yeti. I mean, Clayton Keller speculated on that. Bill Armstrong said it. And then Chris Armstrong in Media Day said something kind of vague. He's like, we know what the fans want. They've made that very clear, and we're trying to figure out a way to deliver that to them. And it seems like I mean, again, I don't know this the size of the grain of salt that you would have to take with this thing would not fit in the area of that. It wouldn't fit in the SLC Puck studios, the size of this grain of salt. So I don't know, but it does seem like there could be some potential snafus and hiccups along the way. So that is something we'll keep an eye on. Very much appreciate the guy who made that post for responding to me and giving me some more information on how he arrived at that. So knowing all that, make your own conclusions. I think it'll be really interesting when we do get the team name to sort of hear the story that happens behind all of that. But again, that's just speculation. That's not journalism in any way, shape, or form. That's not a report. That's just a little water cooler talk, I guess, is what you could call it. But what is good journalism, and what I really did enjoy, and this is the last story I want to talk about today, this ran on ESPN.com. I thought it was a really nice little full-length feature that ran on ESPN.com's NHL page. And the headline is, Inside the Utah Hockey Club's Plan for Long-Term Success. Nice little story here by Ryan S. Clark, NHL reporter. And I read it so you guys don't have to. So how does that feel? I've done this a couple times where I'll read these like really long, like 2,000 or 3,000 word stories and sort of point out the highlights. But again, it feels like my guy Ryan S. Clark might have been watching SLC Puck, because he sort of there's sort of hits on a lot of the notes that I've been talking about throughout the process of doing this show. My thing that I love to say about this hockey story is that it's way bigger than just 12 guys on a sheet of ice at the Delta Center or at a arena in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, or St. Louis or Nashville. That this Utah Hockey Club story is sort of it tells a bigger story about what's happening in Utah. It's going to have a big catalyst effect on a transformation in downtown Salt Lake City. And that's captured very well in the story. So I'll just go through some highlights from the story again. If you want to check it out, feel free. It's on the front page of ESPN's NHL page. But first and foremost, big shout out to my guy, Josh Furlong, who is a buddy of mine, contact over there at KSL.com, is helping put the show on KSL.com. He was quoted in this story. I had a nice lengthy quote here. And just to quote Josh in ESPN, and they set it up right here. It says, perhaps the most important point the Utah Hockey Club could make is that as Salt Lake City keeps growing, so could the city's professional sports landscape. Quote, Utahns especially want to show that they are more than a flyover state, said Josh Furlong. They want to recognize that they recognize that they are not going to be Los Angeles, Seattle, or New York. They want to showcase what Utah has to offer. You have a rabid fan base that will support your team. I think you have a bunch of people who want to showcase that. I don't know if it is some type of FOMO situation where they feel they're not being included. Could be. But they want to be in that mix among the best players. You want people to feel what you see. You have this beautiful landscape, and Utah is beautiful. Friendly people and a great atmosphere for sports culture. Very true. And again, touches on these bigger issues, these bigger notes that I've said here in this story. Right here, this is a quote from, I believe this is Chris Armstrong, talks about all the season ticket deposits. The story was that the Utah Hockey Club collected about 30,000 season ticket deposits, including me. I got those refunded though when I decided not to make the dive into a $10,000 purchase. I don't know what much about the perception is, but I can tell you on the ground that all you see is growth all around you. Talking about Utah, I think the culture of hockey lends itself to the community of the Greater Salt Lake and of Utah. Hardworking, honest, passion, camaraderie, pride in team, pride in state. I think that speaks to the response we've created with season ticket deposits. I would agree with that as well. And the story continues to talk. And again, these are things that I have said on this show. And great for everyone involved for helping me reinforce my theories and my theses. The short-term goal is to drive new young fans to the sport. The long-term goal is to make the youth of today the season ticket holders of tomorrow. And again, I think that that's evident in how they want to brand the team. If we're to believe that YETI really is the name of the team, I think that's something that a youngster would really like and would grow with them as they become of age to be season ticket holders, right? And I think, developing this youth hockey program alongside junior jazz, which has been extremely successful, is another way to do it. And here's another thing that builds into something that I have talked about on the show. This is from Chris Barney, who is Smith Entertainment Group's president of revenue and commercial strategy, talking about the youth hockey program that they're building right now. Our goal is to develop a youth hockey program in which there's an Austin Matthews playing somewhere in the NHL that's a product of Salt Lake City with the infrastructure we built. And I've said that I think they build this junior YETI program, or junior Outlaws at this point, or junior Mammoth, that you're going to see like a really high-end professional come out of Salt Lake City in 10 years or so. That was the case with Austin Matthews, who is a native of Phoenix, Arizona. He's from the Arizona area, and I think he played junior Coyotes growing up, and now he's one of the best players in the NHL. I think that's something that could happen for a junior YETI alumni at some point in the future. Again, this is a really interesting article right here. I just touched on a few highlights. I would go through and read it if I were you guys. Shout out to my guy Josh for getting quoted in that. It's funny. They refer to Josh as a broadcaster and the sports director for KSL, but I don't consider Josh a broadcaster very much. I don't think he would either. But great to see a friendly name in a big story, big national story. So yeah, I think that's definitely something to watch. And the story that we are telling here in Utah, and that I am assisting with in a small way, is getting national attention. And I think that's cool. And I think all the things that we talk about here so much on SLC Puck, and you guys are awesome contributors in the comments, and I get messages from you guys all the time, oh, I think that through was great. Oh, I think you were off on that, but I'll tell you why. Totally love it. I love the engagement, the interaction. You guys make it fun, and I appreciate y'all so much. Hang in there, I know there's a little bit of a rough patch for the Utah Hockey Club right now, but they're going to get back to winning ways. We're going to talk to you guys after the game on Thursday. Should be a YouTube live then, and probably one on Saturday as well. Don't forget to check out slcpuck.shop for merch. Follow on social at SLC Puck. And like, comment, subscribe. And we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.